Hey there, it's Olivia-Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to give you a book haul. I've got 15 books here to show you, so we're going to crack right on with them. But right before we do, I need to say a big thank you to Litpins & Co for sponsoring this video. So Litpins & Co are an officially licensed store, and they do special editions of books, they do special bookmarks, and they also do pins and other memorabilia. They've got a pride section as well with different pins for that and merch for being queer, which is great to see. But I really like them as a shop. They are run by some really lovely and really kind people. I've met the owner before, and I've met some of the other people who work on the team as well, and they are people who are plugged into the book community, which is also always really nice to see, kind of feeding back that energy to the community itself. So they sent me a couple of pieces of merch which I'm going to show you here, and if you want to get any of your own merch or support this shop as well, or some of their gorgeous special editions, then please use this code at checkout, which is here on the screen but will also be in my description box down below, so you can get a discount when you shop with them. I went for some pins and I went for some bookmarks, and the pins are because I love the Heartstopper franchise so much. I adore all of those graphic novels. I really love the TV series. I'm actually caught up with the TV series, which is really rare for me to say, and I've got a poster with all of the Heartstopper characters on my wall. I adore Heartstopper. So when I saw they had a lot of Alice Oseman officially licensed merch, I was like, that's what I would like. So we have Nick. This pin of Nick just makes me so happy. It looks like him. He's in one of his baggy jumpers that I know that Charlie likes to steal, and then we also have Charlie, because I had to get them both so that they could be together on my shelves. Charlie's in one of his really nice shirts and he's smiling, and if you put them next to each other they're looking at each other, which I think is the cutest thing ever. And then I couldn't stop, you know, when I saw that there was Heartstopper merch, so I went and I got these bubbles that say hi, hi, with the Heartstopper leaves around them, which is just so Heartstopper. It's just so Heartstopper. It makes me happy. There's some other Heartstopper things that I didn't get as well on there, so these are my three. They belong together. Look at them. And then as well as that, I got bookmarks. As a multi-reader, I always need bookmarks, and I like a good strong bookmark, but these bookmarks also have shine on them. So let me start with the Grisham one. I recently read, not recently, but this year I read Demon in the Wood, and so I'm back on my Darkling high. So I got the bookmark that says, I'm the sun summoner, it gets dark when I say it does. And on the back it's got the suns, and look at that shine, look at that glow. And then another one that I got that was very glowy is, you will find I have far more practice with eternity. And again, this is like the moon one, the night one, and so the moons are shining on the back with the silver foiling. I also got a V. Schwab bookmark which says, plenty of humans were monstrous and plenty of monsters knew how to play being human. And this is from Vicious. So I haven't read Vicious, but I really love the concept of, like, who are the monsters? The monsters are men. There's nothing more monstrous than men themselves. And so, not men, like people. And so I always love a quote around that. So when I saw this bookmark with the bones and the quote, I went for it. So make sure you check out Litpins & Co or follow them on Instagram. I'll also have their links down below. We love to support small businesses. And now let's get down to the books. The very first book I have is an unhaul from my friend Emily over on Instagram as a short book lover who also has a blog, so I'll leave that link down below. And she was unhauling The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson, and this is the Illumicrate edition, which is just absolutely stunning, and it has really nice artwork on the end papers. The naked dust jacket also has printed artwork on it, and I was like, who am I to say no to this? Like, who am I to say no? And I have to admit, when I saw that The Raven Scholar was coming out, I had no interest in reading it, but then the reviews kept pouring in and everybody said this was really good. And so I was like, oh, I actually might try and read this. And then when the opportunity came to get it, I went for it. So what is this about? I found out what it's about. So this is about an emperor who has reigned on the throne for a very long time, several years, over 20 of them in fact, and he decides it's time for his reign to end. He's going to retire, and when he does this, it means 7 contenders need to, like, fight it out to take his place and go through trials, and each member who is fighting for the throne is represented by an animal. Makes sense for there to be a Raven Scholar in the title now. and as the contenders are doing the practice that they need to do to, you know, be the one to sit on the throne, one of them is murdered. And so it's a murder mystery happening alongside some fantasy trials, and that sounds like a very good combination to me. She's a thick one. I know she's also the first in the series. We'll see how we go. I really like the character art because one of the character art characters looks black and the other looks Asian, and so I feel like we're going to have a diverse cast in this as well, which is always nice to see in fantasy. Speaking of fantasy, I was also sent the proof for Impossible Creatures and The Poisoned King by Katherine Rundell. This is a stunning hardcover proof. I was like, wow, when it dropped through the post, and I still need to read the first one, so that's kind of what I need to do next. But this is a middle grade fantasy book which involves dragons, as far as I know, and other fantastical creatures as well, and the first one has hit the middle grade fantasy world by storm, and I am part of the middle grade fantasy world. That is where I'm very happy to read a lot of middle grade, so I'm looking forward to getting to this series in some time. Then I treated myself to 2 Penguin classics. I collect these Penguin paperback classics, like this collection, I collect them, and so I've got myself one that I have already read and one I haven't. So the one that I have read is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. This is my 3rd edition of Mansfield Park that I own, because I also own the hardback clothbound and then the editions that I first ever read. Mansfield Park is a Jane Austen book I have a lot of love for. For many years, Mansfield Park was my favourite of all the 5 Jane Austen books because I, as a teenager, related to Fanny the most. She was me, very shy, very quiet, very, you know, overlooked by a lot of people, and that described me in a nutshell back then. And since then it's changed, but I always have a soft spot in my heart for Mansfield Park. And then when I was secondhand shopping, I saw this edition of Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. It's a chunky one for sure, and I've not read any Elizabeth Gaskell, and I don't know what this is about, but I presume it's about wives and their daughters, and I am looking forward to just trying Elizabeth Gaskell. She is kind of put in the crowd with like Jane Austen and the Emily Brontes of like good women's classic literature. Thank you to Canongate for not forgetting about me and sending me a copy of Poyums, Annaw by Pennie. I read the first poetry collection Pennie put out, which was called Poyums, and I absolutely loved it. I think it was fantastic. I've seen Pennie live several times, and I think she manages to put so much emotion and anger and love and hurt into her poetry, especially when she performs it. So when I read Poyums, I read it physically and then I reread it with the audiobook, and I'm planning to do the exact same with Poyums Annaw as well. I'm hoping to read this physically and then listen to the audiobooks. I want to hear these poems in Pennie's own voice as well. Thank you so much to Sourcebooks UK for sending me a copy of Bitterbird by Simone. When this dropped through the door, I literally screamed. I'm not usually like that with book mail, but I literally could not hold it in. This is the finale in the Lioness trilogy by Simone, and I read Honeycut last year when it came out, like as soon as it came out, and it rocked my world. It ruined me emotionally, and this is the finale in the trilogy. This is also the spin-off to the new Camelot American Queen series, so I have been in this world for a long time. There's also a lot of spin-offs that are set in the same world, and it's all gonna come to a head. And it's all gonna come together in this last book, and I'm kind of scared of reading it, and I'm also super excited to read it. This is Mark's book. You meet Mark in book 1, and I don't want to tell you anything else, but this whole series is a Tristan and Isolde retelling, and so if you know the myth, you might know why I'm bursting at the seams to read this final book and see how much she is going to stick to the mythology. As well as that, book 2 ended on a massive cliffhanger, and so I'm just tangling over the edge of this cliff until I read this book and figure out how everything ends. Thank you to Titan Books for sending me a copy of House of Idyll by Delilah S. Dawson. I've read 2 Delilah S. Dawson horror books before, and I will merrily continue reading more because I find them to be a lot of fun. This one is about a singer-songwriter who is really struggling to write music at the moment, and so when she gets offered the opportunity to go to this island, being sponsored by one of the biggest bands at the moment, to create music in this luxury island, she's like, yeah, I'll do it. But when she gets to this island, maybe not everything is as perfect as it seems, and maybe there is something a lot more sinister going on, and that is what this one is about. It's giving me similar vibes to Guillotine by this author, where again it was like a luxury island resort where things were not as fantastic as it seemed, but I love that kind of story. I find it so fun in horror films, and so I also find it fun in my horror books, and I'm looking forward to reading this one. Thank you to Daphne Press for sending me a copy of You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. I've not read any Andrew Joseph White before, but they sent me this one as a surprise and I'm happy to receive it. I feel like it might be a sub box pick for something in the future, so we'll see if I keep this proof or just go with the special edition. But this is set in this world where these giant worms and flies have kind of taken over, the hive nests have taken over, and humans are pretty much not getting a look in. But the one way to survive as a human is to become kind of like slaves to these flies and worms, be part of the hive, do your work and keep your head down. And our main character likes this because they've been able to transition, which they were never able to do before, which he was never able to do before. So he's been able to transition, he's more comfortable in who he is, he doesn't have to talk to anyone, he can stay silent all day, and he's also hooking up with this guy that he quite likes. But everything changes when this guy gets him pregnant. And now he's pregnant, he doesn't want to go ahead with the pregnancy, but the queen of the hive is demanding it. And this starts a horror spiral as he does everything he possibly can to get out of this hive, and so that he does not have to give birth to this child. It sounds like it's going to be really, really intense, and also I've just heard it's really, really good. It's going to have some, you know, insect horror elements to it, I think, and the concept just sounds so unique and interesting, so I'm curious to see where this will take me. It actually is the Andrew Joseph White that appeals to me the most. It's also their first adult horror. Yeah, I go secondhand book shopping a lot because I'm always donating books, and recently they've got another donor who must be part of the book community in some way or form or pay attention to it, because it's a lot of like booktube, bookstagram, book talk friendly books in there that usually aren't there unless they're supplied by me. So I got a copy of All the Fields by Olivia Dade. I don't know anything about this book, but Olivia Dade has been on my romance to read list to try one of her books for a very long time. I know that this is the second book in a series of interconnected romance stories where you don't have to start with the first one, but you can. And I don't care about romance series, I will jump in wherever I want to jump in. So I've decided I'm going to jump in here. And I know that also Olivia Dade writes plus size romance, so we've got like a fat girl main character and that she is own voices for that rep. So yeah, this is about a superstar who's got a terrible representation and the therapist who is hired to kind of help him through this, and then they have their romance going on. And I think everything goes wrong, but now he's trying to prove to her that he's not a lost case. That's what I got from the synopsis. Thank you to the publisher for sending me a copy of When We Were Monsters by Jennifer Niven. So Jennifer Niven is the author of All the Bright Places, and I loved that as a teenager. I was a sad girl, fiction reading teen as well, and since then I've not read any Jennifer Niven, none of her other books, but I'm back around for her young adult horror. So this is also actually dark academia, and it's about these students. There are like 8 of them, and they walk in to this competition where the best person will walk out with a life-changing scholarship, and the students realize that there is something strange about their teacher and that maybe they're fighting for more than the scholarship that they were putting themselves forward for. So it's about these writers who all want to be the best, but maybe there's something more sinister happening. So that sounds interesting. I just want to try some more Jennifer Niven, and I do like a good dark academia story, even though it's been a while since I've read one. Thank you to Rachel Quinn Marketing for sending me the paperback release copies of I Did Something Bad and Here for a Good Time by Pyae War. This is romance series, again like interconnected standalones. I already had the hardback edition of I Did Something Bad, but I actually much prefer the paperback cover. I'm a hardback format person, so it's a big deal when I'm like, actually I'll happily take that paperback and trade it out for the hardback. And then this is the sequel, which is like following on from that, called Here for a Good Time, which is only out in paperback, and they look like really fun summer romances, but I've also heard that there is like a mysterious element to them, and that plays a big part in the story alongside the romances. I also believe there's celeb ex normal person. This one at least. Yep, celeb ex-journalist and publishing career. Holiday of Their Dreams. what if I did something crazy and started with book 2? And then we've got 3 books here. So the first one I want to talk about is Demon Song by Kelsea. Thank you to the publisher for sending me a copy, Titan Books. And this is a horror retelling of, a horror like fantasy retelling of Phantom of the Opera set in China, and it's also a pretty quick and easy read from the looks of things. I have followed Kelsea on Bookstagram for a very long time, back when she was more so posting Bookstagram photos, and now she still does. She does books, bakes and writing, and I'm so excited to finally have one of her novels in my hands that's coming out in the UK, and I'm really looking forward to supporting a friend. But also Phantom of the Opera retelling in China sounds so good. I really liked Phantom of the Opera, and I'm curious to see what she can do with this kind of story. And thank you to Fourth Estate for sending me a copy of He's the Devil by Tobi Coventry, which looks like it's going to be a queer literary fiction book with some thriller elements to it as well. So listen to this. Simon has a new flatmate and Massimo's brought something with him. Massimo is awakening something within Simon, something wild and exciting, but where did Massimo come from and who is he really? That's what the back says, and that's literally all I needed to know. With this beautiful cover, I was intrigued immediately, and yeah, I love a little sinister story. This actually looks like it looks chunky, but it also looks like I could read it. And then last but not least, I want to say thank you to Caroline from HQ for sending me a copy of Wild Moon Rising by Jenny Knight. And this is a hardback of something I previously had a proof of, and it's a coming of age story, but it's coming of age literary fiction, post-marriage and post-menopause, which I think is what makes it unique. I think there's a lot of coming of age stories we get in teenage fiction, but also in adult fiction, but less so, you know, after the years of marriage and after the years of menopause. The only other one I can think of is All Fours. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this one brings me. I've heard it's a gentle story, but it's a transformative one as well. And there you have it. Those are the 15 books that I've recently hauled in. Please don't forget to check out Lit Pins & Co.'s site. They are so cool and they have so much cool stuff for you to get. And don't forget you can use that code for your discount. Please let me know in the comment section down below, if you had to choose a fandom to get some merch of, which fandom would you choose? Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!